So I just announced to everyone, hey guys, the video hit the algorithm, check it out. At that point, I want to say the video had a total of around 20,000 views. Okay? And that was yesterday morning. Once again, the insano conspiracy theorists out there, it's view botting. No, that's not how view botting works. This is what I keep telling you guys. Do not, and I'll repeat this, I'm sorry, do not support and believe that crap content. Anyone who gets a game early, here's my early impressions. F yourself. Certainly, me coming back for my day off today, I did not expect to be like this. Today is Friday the 26th of April 2024. Of course, I'm DSP, and I welcome you all here to the show. I hope that you all are doing well. You had a good day away on Thursday, I hope. And, man, do we have a lot to talk about and digest.
And before we actually get into it, I want to just take a second to point out how much he's hyping this up, telling us that we have all sorts of things to talk about and digest, as if there's some sort of information that we're going to have to actually understand and let settle, and we might not even like it. We might have to just straight stomach it, which is definitely not how I would describe everything that's about to happen. But I guess I do have to appreciate that he's finally showing some sort of actual interest in talking about something on his pre-cum pisscast. Gotta show some sort of love for any type of passion, because it's so rare that you actually get to see any on the DSP Space Gaming channel.
So here's the deal, all right? My last stream before I went on break was Wednesday night, and I decided to play Fallout 4. Now, I'd already decided I was going to play Fallout 4 starting this weekend because the next-gen update for the game was going to launch yesterday. But that was my day off, and I said, well, I'll play it, as I come back probably on Saturday-ish. Just hoping to get a nice kind of balanced playthrough along with everything else that I'm doing. People had said this is the right time to play Fallout because the TV show is so popular and everyone is jumping into Fallout all over the place, right?
And that would actually make sense, at least to me and probably every other content creator that's in the space and interested in following trends and having people actually watch their content. But DSP has never been that person. He's constantly telling everybody that he's not like other content creators. He's not interested in following your stupid trends and doing what's popular. But now that it comes to Fallout and the Fallout TV show, this is something that we're interested in doing. DSP truly is the king of the flip-flop. And I'm not just saying that because he's consistently wearing all of these Hawaiian shirts that make him look like the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan. But of course, when there's a DSP flip-flop, that can only mean one of two things are there to be gained, and that's money or pity. Sometimes, if he's lucky, even both. But in this instance, it seems to just be about the money.
And I said, well, you know what? Even though the next gen update isn't out yet, I want to get a head start on playing Fallout 4. I want to get through the intro, right? I want to make my character, get out of the vault, and basically get to the part where when we play again, we can actually hit the ground running with the story. Okay?
And I really thought that this idea of doing an intro style stream before the next gen update came out didn't make any sense. Because making your character and doing the intro to Fallout 4 takes all of 20 to 30 minutes maximum. I mean, if you're familiar with the systems in the game, you should be able to make your character pretty quickly, and DSP has no talent when it comes to the actual character creation part, messing with the faces and whatnot. So again, 20 to 30 minutes maximum, and then you're back in Sanctuary ready for gameplay. But of course, nothing can be that simple when you're the guy. So of course, we needed an entire 2-hour stream to play through 20 to 30 minutes worth of gameplay. And I use the word gameplay very loosely in this instance, because so much of the intro to Fallout 4 is quite literally just standing around and waiting for NPCs to get into place and hit triggers.
And that's exactly what we did on Wednesday night. We played for about 2.5 hours, and here's the funny part about it. Even though there was no next-gen update yet on Wednesday night when I played it with you guys, you could still play the game at 60 frames per second, but only if you had the Xbox Series consoles. Why? Because Microsoft now owns Bethesda and basically initiated a program where you could do an FPS boost feature on these games to make them run at full 60 frames per second. So what ended up happening was I booted up the game and it was running at 30, and I was like, this isn't right. I know for a fact that you can improve this.
And despite all of the things that I have to say about both Microsoft and Bethesda, that is a pretty cool feature that I didn't know existed. So I guess big ups to both of them for allowing that to be a thing. But the way that DSP is describing the situation that he found himself in is not quite what happened. Because he wasn't that cool, calm, and collected. He didn't just understand that there was a way that he could get 60 FPS instead of 30. Instead, he immediately got agitated, of course, and began scouring scouring his chat for a solution to his problem, all the while complaining that there's no way that he shouldn't be allowed to have 60 FPS while Kat is downstairs playing on the inferior console and she is. Which just felt to me like a very strange thing to say. It felt like he was flexing on her and putting her down because she was playing on an inferior console. But luckily for everybody, that segment didn't actually last that long, and eventually he figured out how to do it. And when I say that he figured out how to do it, I mean that his chat handheld him to the answer, obviously. We all know that DSP is incapable of finding his own solutions.
And after messing around for a minute, we found it, the FPS boost feature. And then I played for 2.5 hours at 60 frames per second. And let me tell you, the game looks great at 60 frames. It feels so much better than when I played it in 2015 on the Xbox One at a very choppy sub 30 frames. Remember, that was one of the major complaints I had, was the graphical performance just was not that good on the Xbox One back in the day.
Why am I not surprised that the biggest gripe that DSP had with the shallowest Fallout game is the fact that it just didn't look graphically good enough for him? Out of all of the things to complain about, the graphics is really not one of them. The game looked fine for the time, and getting 60 FPS on a PC I don't think was really an issue if I was capable of doing it. But of course, DSP wasn't playing on a PC. He was in fact playing on a console, which meant that he was hard stuck at 30 FPS as a maximum, which is obviously a crime against humanity. Come on, you guys, 60 FPS or bust.
And so I played for the 2.5 hours, 2 videos. I very wisely titled the first video 60 frames per second so that people would know it's Fallout 4 at 60 frames. And I go ahead and I upload the videos and I said, all right, I'm off, right? I'll see you guys Friday. And on Friday, today, the intention was today we were going to play a new game called Another Crab's Treasure. It's an indie game that came out yesterday on Game Pass. It's supposed to be a Souls-like style gameplay with a cute crab fighting in an undersea world. And I was like, we'll just do that. And then, we'll go back to Fallout on Saturday when the next gen update has been applied and we'll see what happens, right? So I go to sleep and I come back, I get back up in the morning. All right. And in the morning, I always refresh my stuff and I want to see what's there. And I approve comments and I do all this stuff. I'm getting ready for my day out with my wife and I refresh everything and it says Fallout 4 Part 1 has 18,000 views on it. And I said, what?
And I can absolutely understand his shock when seeing those metrics, because that's about 18 times the amount of views that he normally gets on a good day. And I'm sure as soon as he's seen those numbers, he immediately started daydreaming about all of the Hogans that he was going to be able to pull that night.
18,000 views in 12 hours or so. Like, that's unprecedented. I haven't had a video go that popular on this channel in over 5 years. Usually my videos, even if they get an audience, they get a slow build where they'll start with like 1,000 and then they'll get a little more and a little more. It'll be a slow climb, a slow build. And then eventually, if it becomes very popular, it'll be within like a week maybe. I'll build to say 10, 20,000 viewers or something like that. And that's it. Like, this channel is not popular anymore. So I don't usually get anything above 10,000 views unless rare cases, okay?
So after hearing him talk about how sometimes he'll have a popular video and it might amass about 10,000 views, I went and had a little scroll through his channel, because that just didn't sound real to me. That isn't the DSP Space Gaming channel that I know. And after my little scroll through, not only was I correct, because I didn't spot a single video that had 10,000 or more views aside from the ones that are currently in question, but I also realized just how infrequently DSP manages to hit 1,000 views on a video. To be fair to him, it happens every once in a while. I'll give him that. And it typically happens on the pre-cum pisscast videos. But it really just puts into perspective how far DSP has fallen. His 200,000 plus subscriber channel is getting less than 1,000 views per video. Maybe this isn't news to you, maybe you were already aware of this, and I definitely should have been, because everybody is always talking about how his numbers are way down and his channel is falling further and further into the pits of hell. But I think that scrolling through his most recent videos for a little bit really puts things into perspective.
So I immediately look at it and I'm like, I definitely want to see where this came from or whatever. But it's funny because I'm looking and basically it all happened at once. What do I mean by that? I mean, this video had maybe 1,000 to 2,000 views overnight. And then all of a sudden, it got a ginormous spike in views within about a 2 to 3 hour period. All right, that gave tons of views. So basically the thing is, you can't see the data right away on YouTube. You have to wait a little bit to analyze the data. But I had a feeling I knew what happened. Basically, people Tuesday or Thursday morning, they're looking for this next gen update. They want to see what the game looks like with the next gen update. Many people maybe are thinking about, should I buy the game to play it with the next gen update, right? And they're searching YouTube, and essentially my video hit the algorithm, and they watched it thinking this video was Fallout 4 with the next gen update applied, because I titled that video 60 frames per second, which is true. The video is 60 frames per second. But all you got to do is watch a few minutes into the video, you'll realize I say outright, no, this is not the next gen version yet, but I'm going to do this FPS boost feature, and I enable it or whatever, and that's how I got to 60 frames. So basically, I think that's what happened, but I can't confirm it yet, right?
And I think that that's where the real slime in this situation comes from. Because not only did he know that people were going to be looking into Fallout content because the update was coming out and the show has come out recently and people are interested in the topic, but there was also no real reason for him to mention 60 frames in the title, because it really had nothing to do with the game and everything to do with an Xbox feature. Had he been playing on the PlayStation, then it would have been relevant if he was playing at 60 FPS, because that was coming out with the update on the PlayStation 5. But the Xbox already kind of had this feature just through the Xbox, so there was really no point in putting it in the title other than to be slimy. I think that would be akin to somebody putting 60 FPS in the title of their PC playthrough, because there's really just no reason unless you're fishing for undue clicks. And while yes, I do think that this strategy is kind of slimy, I don't think that he committed some sort of crime or evil act. He's hopping on a trend and he's actually doing it in a way that got him views on his video. That is so out of the ordinary for DSP, I'm honestly kind of impressed. Whether he did it on purpose or not, I couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that the inordinate amount of people that showed up to that video and gave him all of those views was undeserved, and that was very expressly stated by the data that he received back from YouTube. But we'll get to that part soon enough.
So I just announced to everyone, hey guys, the video hit the algorithm, check it out. At that point, I want to say the video had a total of around 20,000 views. Okay? And that was yesterday morning. So actually around the same time right now. Yeah, actually it's around the same time right now. Yesterday is when that happened.
And this is just a small pet peeve of mine, and I know that I've mentioned it in the past, but I'm going to point it out here again. I cannot stand the fact that he calls about this time, which is 11:30 his time, the morning. I don't know what I would prefer him to call it, as it is not the afternoon because it is still technically before noon. But when you say the morning, I am thinking pretty much anything before 10 o'clock, and it is definitely not that. Maybe I want him to refer to it as about midday, I don't know. But morning, definitely no.
Hold on one second because I got to do something. Stupid thing. Ugh. Of course I have to be interrupted by a stupid thing on my laptop. It wants to do a Windows update. No, you're not going to do a Windows update now when I'm streaming. You're going to shut up so that I can actually do my stream. They won't even let me pause the update. You've got to be joking me. This is pissing me off because now I got to do it later. Here, I'm just going to push this a few days so it'll stop bothering me. Because if I don't do this now, it's going to keep bothering. Windows is so pushy now. Like, you tell Windows, oh, I actually don't want to do the update. And they're like, oh, you have to do it anyway. Like, but I don't want to do it. I'm telling you, I don't want to do it right now. I'm busy, or I'm doing, oh, no, you got to do the update. Windows going to tell me what to do on my own PC, huh? Interesting.
Isn't DSP the exact same person who was just telling us the other day that it's completely fine that they're shutting down the Xbox 360 marketplace, and that it's completely okay for them to just insist that you get the newest hardware? But now he's completely against them pushing software updates for his operating system? If that is an ass backwards, dude, I don't know what is. Also, I thought that his laptop was running Windows 8.1. Am I confusing that with his desktop? Does his laptop actually have a copy of Windows 10 on it? All that aside, this segment is completely ridiculous. The idea that in the middle of a podcast, as he calls it, that a streamer would go out of their way to talk about their Windows update and actively deal with it, that just seems absurd. You would think that they would have had that figured out before they actually started the stream, before they started this totally professional and legitimate business style show. But I would also assume that they wouldn't be running their entire business through a desktop that's running Windows 8.1, an OS that was abandoned many, many years ago. But you know what they say about assuming.
Anyway, so about 24 hours ago, the video had about 20,000 views. I announced this to the internet. I put it up on my Twitter and on my community post on the video or on the channel. And I start taking a look at comments because I realized there's a lot of comments that have hit this video overnight because it went viral. Or not viral, but it hit the algorithm on YouTube and people can't see the comments. So I start approving comments left and right. I start responding to comments. I post up things like, hey, check out my Fallout 3 series over on DSP Throwback. Hey, I reviewed the Fallout TV show. You know, it is what it is. And basically all of the algorithm stuff dies down within 2-3 hours. And what I mean by that is like the algorithm, it hit the algorithm probably between 7 to 10 a.m. yesterday. And by noon yesterday, done. Algorithm's done with it. Discarded it. So now all those views that were coming in are gone.
And I love how he acts as though the YouTube algorithm is some sort of living sentient being that makes its own decisions on its own whims all of the time, and none of it makes any sense. When the reality is it's just processing a bunch of information that it's given. It's just going through a bunch of data and making decisions. And as we'll find out very shortly, because I'm going to tease this again, the data that DSP received back from YouTube via YouTube Studio is absolutely abysmal, and 100% showcases exactly why he was kicked out of the algorithm shortly after it picked him up to begin with.
But now what's happening is people are curious. What happened? Why did the video get so many views? So more people are now coming. You know, I have a ridiculous amount of subscribers on this channel. Most of them don't watch the content anymore. But, you know, people get curious. What happened? Fill out a video with 25,000 views within a few hours. That's crazy. Let's go check it out.
And that just makes me wonder who this person is. Who is this person that DSP is speaking about right now, that is subscribed to his channel, has been for a very long time, doesn't watch his content, but sees that he got a video with 25,000 views and was so curious that he decided to click on it? I don't know, it just seems a little far-fetched to me, but if anybody knows who this specific one person is, if you could put me in contact with them, because I'd like to ask what they actually thought about the video. Because I said this the other day on stream, if there was ever a video that really showcases what DSP does on the average day, what his average content actually looks like, it pretty much is that one. And it is absolutely miserable. He's very clearly wasting everybody's time and going out of his way to be as obnoxious as possible. And I want to say that there's, what, 3 to 5 minutes of him rambling on the main menu before he actually gets into the gameplay. If that doesn't scream DSP, I really don't know what does.
So over the course of yesterday, I still got like another 5,000 views on the video as like residual views that had nothing to do with the algorithm, but just the fact that people out of curiosity wanted to see why this video got the amount of views that it did, okay? What I find absolutely hilarious, once again, the insano conspiracy theorists out there, it's viewbotting. No, that's not how viewbotting works. That's literally not how viewbotting works at all. Viewbotting doesn't apply that way. I know, because people try to viewbot my streams, and it doesn't work like that. YouTube does not count viewbot views like that. It'll show on a stream. It will not show on a video like that. It's completely stupidity for any idiot to say that. Plus, which I'm going to talk about. We're going to go into the analytics of the video to show you what it looks like. But yeah, it was 100% legit. It was the algorithm.
And I want to make it clear that I don't think that it is genuinely view botting. I think those were real legitimate views, people who got duped into clicking on the video because of a very specific way that he titled it and the information that they were looking for. But when you're trying to debunk something, DSP, I don't think that it's a good idea to just say that's not how it works because basically I said so. This whole bit about view bots could have worked very well as a segue into looking at your data, which I don't think you should have done on stream to begin with, but you absolutely will go out of your way to do. But for some unknown reason, DSP thought it was much more important that he continue to lambast the detractors and trolls and tell them how wrong they are, because obviously that's far more important than actually proving his point.
And then there's people who just can't accept the fact that a video of mine got any views, and they're like leaving comments saying, oh, this video is not 60 frames, you're a liar, you mistagged it, or you mistitled it. The video is blatantly 60 frames. You just watch it. I mean, you have to watch it at the right resolution. On YouTube, you can't see 60 frames unless you watch at 720p or above. So maybe people are just so dumb. They're trying to watch the video at like 480 or 360, and they think that it's 60 frames, which it would never be.
And this part to me is very specifically strange because he's talking about the actual video being in 60 frames rather than the game being in 60 frames, which you could pretty much always say about every single DSP video because they should all be in 60 frames. He records in 1080-60. I'm confused as to why he would want to try and argue the semantics on whether his actual video is in 60 frames when the comment was probably referring to the fact that the game wasn't in 60 frames, because he does absolutely start the game in 30 FPS. So technically, not all of the gameplay footage in the game is in 60 FPS. Some of it is in 30 until he realized that he had made a mistake. But this just makes me wonder, when he put 60 FPS in the title of the video, did he mean that the video was 60 FPS and he wasn't actually referring to the game at all? Because if so, this situation is so much slimier than I originally thought. I don't think that he genuinely was. I think he was talking about the video game, but now my eyebrow was raised and I do have a couple of question marks.
But if you watch it in HD, it's 60 frames. And I even show you in the video how I enabled the 60 frames. It's not like, oh, this is a misleading video where I'm lying. I literally, in the video, show you the FPS boost menu and how to enable it and how you can get it on the Series S right now or Series X right now, even without the next gen update. So I just find it absolutely hilarious what these idiots say and do, just to discredit the fact that anything would actually go well for me, right? So anyway, basically now, the video's now been out for about a day and a half, okay? The video has 25,000 views and climbing. It is continuing to get a few hundred views you know, in a few hours. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being even higher over the next several days as people start to watch this playthrough. Because the thing is, on YouTube, this is how it works. When you see a video with a lot of views, you tend to check it out. It's just that simple. If you see Fallout 4 playthrough part 1 and it has 300 views, you're like, it must not be good. If you see Fallout 4 playthrough part 1 and it has 25,000 views, you're like, oh, that must be pretty good. I'll check it out, right? That's just the nature of how humans act. They don't, for some reason, an arbitrary number on a video dictates the level of quality when in reality it doesn't. It doesn't mean shit, right?
I 100% agree with DSP on this point, actually. I don't think that the amount of views or the amount of subscribers speaks to the quality at all. Case in point, DSP and his entire channel, obviously. 200,000 subs, and the content on this channel is bottom of the barrel trash. And let me tell you, as a legitimate trash style worker in the real world, I've seen some pretty bottom of the barrel trash. But I absolutely love how upset he gets that people go and watch other content creators that other people watch. Because while yes, the amount of subscribers and viewers you have does not speak to the quality, it will absolutely make people wonder why so many people are picking this video over the other ones. This person must be offering something in order to make all of these other people click this video instead of all of the other videos. And if that absolutely isn't the case, if it was a fluke situation kind of like yours, and people click on the video and realize that there's nothing to be gained from watching this, there's nothing being offered, they just won't continue to watch the content, and that fluke won't happen anymore. Nobody will be clicking on these videos because you will no longer have those numbers to make people click. Sure, in the near future, some poor sob might actually click on DSP's Fallout playthrough part 1 again because it has so many views on it. And they're obviously going to have a bad time and they're never going to want to watch another piece of DSP's content. And because they're so uninterested in DSP, they're absolutely not clicking the part 2. So there will never be some poor sod out there who stumbles across a DSP part 2 video and clicks on it for the views. Just a pertinent example for you in case I lost you in my ramblings.
Anyway, so with all that happening, I made a decision that today I was going to change my schedule so that we would play more Fallout 4, since number one, the stream actually did pretty good. People liked it when I played it on Wednesday night, and now we've got some hype building behind the game. In addition, today we are actually playing the next-gen version of the game. It is applied, it is installed, all the DLCs are in there, so now when we play today, any improvements or things that they've done should actually be shown in the gameplay. So unlike the first two videos where the next gen, wasn't applied, now it is. So now I can actually title the video next gen update for Fallout 4, and it's legit, right?
So the guy who's constantly hating on every other content creator for chasing trends and telling us that he's some special individual that doesn't do that is absolutely chasing this Fallout trend all the way to the end. I do think that it's really weird that he didn't intend on doing this beforehand, that this had to be a schedule change for some reason. You would think that given the fact that he did an intro stream specifically so he had the intro done before the update came out, that he would be rip-roaring ready to play that new update as soon as he possibly could, which would be this Friday, the very same day that we're looking at right now after his day off. I don't know, that would be a schedule that makes the most amount of sense to me, but I'm not the guy who deals in schedules all day long every day. That's this guy that we're looking at, DSP.
So that is what we're doing today. And all this means is that another Crab's Treasure will be tomorrow. Okay, let's continue playing Fallout 4. By the way, I got a taste of it on Wednesday night. It's a melee build I'm doing this time. I'm basically doing like the idiotic brute who's kind of like an idiot savant, meaning he'll be able to do certain things like lockpick, but he won't be able to do speech challenges. He actually will not be able to hack at all, okay? So, I'm excited for more today, because this is a different build, like which I haven't done. Melee with luck-based and lockpick. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
And leave it to DSP to hype up doing a melee-style playthrough in a Fallout game. This is not an entirely unique idea, DSP. You haven't invented some sort of challenge run. You are not actually doing anything out of the ordinary. And that sentiment actually carries into the rest of the build as well. He acts as though it's some unique thing that he's not going to be able to do speech checks, that he's not going to be able to hack, but he will be able to lockpick. None of those skills are necessary, so it's not particularly interesting. In fact, the speech checks in Fallout 4 are practically useless. And I'm absolutely certain that some den along the way told him that he might as well just pick lockpicking over hacking, because in Fallout 4 they tend to be one and the same, except lockpicking has more uses. That is the exact type of handholding that I could absolutely see him getting from his chat.
So hopefully the playthrough continues on. Now here's the thing. Do I think that this playthrough is going to continue to have this many viewers? No, absolutely not. In fact, just look at parts 1 and 2. Part 1 of the playthrough currently has 25,000 views and climbing. It's still increasing, like I said, a few hundred every couple hours, right? But part 2 has around 2,000. See, it's hard to tell. It actually has 2,800 viewers. I can tell you that because when I look in YouTube Studio, it actually shows you the true viewers of a video. Excuse me, I misspoke. 2,500 viewers. Yeah, part 2 has 2,500 viewers. It doesn't show yet. The video says like 2,300, but the thing with YouTube is that there's always a lag when it shows true views. So I can see in my YouTube Studio app that it actually has 2,500.
And that stat alone is low-key embarrassing, and I have no idea why he thought it was a good idea to read that out loud and actually point it out. The fact that you do game playthroughs every single day and you had 25,000 people watch your part 1, but only 2,500 actually wanted to stick around and go to the part 2 is really bad. That just goes to show you how bad his viewer retention really is between videos. But it really only gets worse from here.
So, I mean, just right there. Why the drop-off? Because part 2 didn't hit the algorithm. Part 2 doesn't say 60 frames. And that's what people were looking for. They were looking for next-gen upgrade, 60 frames. That's what they found in the algorithm. In fact, I'll tell you in a second. I'm actually going to bring up the results here in YouTube Studio to explain to you exactly how the algorithm works. But now what's going to happen is at least I have a playthrough that has views on it, right? And some people might gravitate towards checking it out. And the thing is, I have a lot of Fallout content, right? I have not only this playthrough I'll be doing, I have 3 playthroughs of Fallout New Vegas, 2 playthroughs of Fallout 3, all on this channel, the original Fallout 4 playthrough from many years ago. And now in that 25,000 view video, I have 2 links, one to my Fallout 3 remastered playthrough that's going up on my throwback channel, and also to my review of the TV show. So hopefully, over time, some views will gravitate to my other Fallout content, okay?
That's not gonna happen. We've already addressed the fact that 25,000 people watched part 1 and only 2,500 watched the second part. Did you really think that any of those people that didn't stick around are gonna go to your other series that they don't care about? They couldn't even be bothered to continue watching the same series they already started. I also love that instead of actually linking to the other playthroughs that he did on this very channel, DSP Space Gaming, instead he decided to send them to 2 separate channels that he also operates that has Fallout content on it. Because of course everybody appreciates being sent to someone's second and even third channel upon their first viewing. And I want to point out Avarice in the chat right now because I'm absolutely convinced at this point that Avarice is a LARP, which only makes all of their comments funnier to me. They of course said, I think that most of the 25k viewers were saving part 2 for when they have a chance to check it out, which I think that you would have to be absolutely regarded to genuinely believe. The mere idea that that many people were so interested in DSP's gameplay in the part 1 that they were saving the part 2 is absolutely absurd.
You might say, well, what is the big deal about all this? Why are you acting like it's a big deal? Because it is. This is what used to happen all the time on this channel. I would play a hot new release or something new that was popular and people were talking about, and people would watch that and then gravitate towards all the other content on my channel. What's happened is in the last 5 years, this channel doesn't show up in the YouTube algorithm almost ever. So because of that, all we get is the same people every day coming by to watch the content, and that's not going to grow, and there's nothing I can do about that. That's the nature of how YouTube works.
Imagine that, yet another thing that DSP can do absolutely nothing about. But it absolutely baffles me the way that he can outright acknowledge the fundamental flaw to the way that he's been running his business this entire time, but yet do nothing about it. He's relying on the algorithm to just pick him up instead of just making good content that people talk about and, you know, want to watch. He just wants YouTube to do all of the heavy lifting for him, and he acts as though he's entitled to it. There's plenty of content creators on this website and many others that don't ever get picked up by whatever algorithm is in place, and yet they still manage to get their content out there and people still manage to watch it, tell their friends about it, and it spreads like wildfire. But of course little old DSP couldn't do anything about it, you guys. He did everything correct, he did nothing wrong.
So hopefully this one spike that I got in the algorithm will result in some extra views spilling over to my other content, and people will like some of my other content.
I can almost guarantee you, boss, that is not gonna happen, but I like your optimism.
Because I do a lot of content, let's be honest, right? So now, to give you some specifics, because people immediately are going to say, well, what are the analytics of the video, right? Like, tell us truly what happened with this video. We were interested in you know, how it went and everything. So you're going to love these analytics, trust me, because you're going to laugh your ass off. Let me actually click on the video specifically to get its specific analytics.
Shout out double specifically, obviously, because we couldn't come up with a different word instead of just saying specifically twice. But I really want you to sit here and think about for a second the fact that we are doing an analytics segment on a DSP stream because he had one video hit 25,000 views. This is very clearly a monumentous occasion for DSP, a stop the presses style moment. He's just so excited to share this information with people. He's so proud of himself for some reason that he can't help himself. And I absolutely understand understand when you create something and you're really proud about how it turned out, you can be very excited and you can share that excitement with other people. It's very wholesome. But that's not what we're really talking about here. We're talking about DSP, a notorious liar and scammer on the internet who kind of lied and scammed his way into getting a few more views on a video that inevitably won't matter. It's also worth noting that he's gotten several videos in the past with millions of views and a bunch of videos with several hundred thousands of views. So him taking a victory lap because he very recently had a video with 25,000 views really just doesn't make any sort of sense. What it does show you though is how accepting DSP is of where he currently is at as far as the YouTube landscape goes. The fact that he's not striving for hundreds of thousands of viewers anymore, and the fact that he hit double digits to begin with and even hit the 20,000s is something that he's excited about really tells you a lot.
So far, 25,700 views and climbing. You may not be able to see that, but that's the true views because the actual studio app shows me true views, not views that are stuck and not showing it. So 25,700 and climbing. Okay. Where were the sources of the views? Where did they come from? Was it viewbots? No. Here's the evidence. It says right here, YouTube search, meaning the algorithm, accounted for 21,100 of those views.
And I want to stop him right there because just the way that he says that makes me think that he's under the assumption that the YouTube algorithm is only in place when it comes to the actual search bar. And I just don't think that that's the case at all. The YouTube algorithm is all of the aspects when it comes to video discovery. The YouTube algorithm is also the same algorithm that is pushing everything on your homepage. It's the same algorithm that is pushing your recommended, your next up videos, your suggested videos. All of that is also the YouTube algorithm. So you could absolutely swap out the term YouTube search and just put in suggested videos, and it would still be applicable to say that it was all of the algorithm's fault.
So that means the other views, the other 4,000, 5,000 views came from legitimately my audience or from other things like word of mouth, like when I posted up on Twitter that the video was going viral or other people started talking about it and sharing it around. Okay. But 21,100 views just because it hit the YouTube algorithm for 3 hours, because it only hit the algorithm for 3 hours and then it was removed.
Please keep in mind that it apparently only hit the algorithm for about 3 hours as far as DSP's analytics tell him. I promise it'll be absolutely important to something coming up and will only make the entire situation all the more devastating.
Because I can actually see in, where is it? I can see in the watch time. Here it is. Yeah, absolutely. Here it is. Here's the real-time views. I can click on this chart. It's an amazing chart. Okay. So within the first 4 to 5 hours of being out, it only had a few hundred views. Then all of a sudden, hour 6, it got 2,000 views. Hour 7, it got 3,000 more. Hour 8, it got 4,000. Hour 9, it got 5,000. Hour 10, it got another 4,000. And then it went to almost 0. So basically, hours 5 to 10, it hit the algorithm, and then it was removed from the algorithm within 5 hours. Just gone.
Okay, so take everything that I said a few moments ago about remembering that it was only in the algorithm for 3 hours and now replace the 3 with a 5 now that DSP has told us the correct answer. I love how despite actually having all of the data in the palm of his hand, he was relaying the wrong information several times in a row. Very cool.
Right? Unbelievable. So that's pretty crazy. That's how YouTube works these days, right? Nothing even stays in the algorithm for more than a few hours. The only way it continues to get views is if it gets so many views within those few hours. Now it's trending for a different reason.
Yeah, the different reason is probably that the video is good. I love that he has one brush with a video actually getting any sort of traction, and he immediately is an expert on exactly how the algorithm always works. And even goes on to claim that every video is only in the algorithm for a few hours at a time and then immediately kicked out. As if that's some sort of hard and fast rule that he's uncovered during this experience. Because obviously DSP's entirely subjective experience becomes universal law as soon as it happens.
So you might say, well, hold on. Why was it trending? I'll tell you why, because you can look at the search terms. Let me find it. Where was it? Reach? I got to find the search term people were searching for. Here it is. YouTube search terms. 43.5% of people who were looking on YouTube were looking for Fallout 4 Next Gen Upgrade. Guess what? None of those words were in my video title at all. The video title is 60 frames of nuclear fun. That's all it is. 60 frames of nuclear fun. And then explaining that this is my second run of the game. That's it. Doesn't say next gen upgrade at all. But YouTube search hit it. and made that be shown at the forefront of what people were searching for.
I mean, one of those words absolutely was in your title, DSP. I'm pretty sure that you put Fallout 4 in the title. And I think that it's very clear that in the search term, 60 FPS was being conflated with next-gen upgrade, because for the PlayStation 5 players, that is absolutely true. It's not a stretch to see how that would have happened. And I'm sure there were many other content creators when the patch was announced that specifically stated in their title and description 60 FPS and next-gen almost back to back. So again, it's very easy to see how those two things could have been conflated when people were actually looking for the Fallout 4 next-gen patch.
The next search is about 10% of the people found it just after Fallout 4 next gen, and then 9% saw Fallout 4 and just Fallout 4. Right? So there you go. Pretty crazy. 40, 50, so 50, 66% of the people who watched the video found it just searching on YouTube, and it hit the algorithm. Why? Right place, right time. Not even the right words. Because nowhere in there does it say next gen update. It's not the next gen update. It's 60 frames because I show you in the video how to enable 60 frames with the FPS boost feature, but it's not the update. It just so happens YouTube put it into that search for some reason. Okay? Now also, this is funny. 36% of people found it through YouTube. 14% found it through Google. And a whopping 30% found it through Twitter. And you might say, Twitter? Well, why is that? Well, I'll tell you why, because my detractors are fucking idiots.
This guy, man, he can't be appreciative of anything. He's got this boost in viewership, and instantly he has to talk about how all of his detractors are stupid morons. Why can't he just go under the assumption that a bunch of people on Twitter saw his link and clicked on it and checked it out? Why does it immediately have to go into some detractor-style conspiracy? For a guy who doesn't love drama and doesn't want to give all of his haters and detractors the time of day, doesn't want to give them the spotlight, he sure does talk about them a lot, doesn't he?
Because as soon as the video started going viral, not viral, I keep saying viral, it's not viral, it's when it hit the algorithm. As soon as the video hit the algorithm, those morons started posting up about it on Twitter. Oh, look, Phil's a video getting views, and oh, let's make excuses as to why, because it's clickbait, because it's this and that, because it's view bots, all of which is wrong. All of which 100% shows you the actual evidence of why this happened, right? But they idiotically just started clicking on it on Twitter, and it gave it extra views too, okay?
Then I guess we can thank the Allmaker that DSP is no longer paid on a per view basis and instead paid on the ads.
So that's what's going on here. Now, basically, here's the thing about the video, all right? Engagement. The sad fact is the video has poor engagement, but here's why. When your video starts, it shows me talking and then the intro cutscene of the game. Can you see the game at 60 frames per second in that time period? No. So most people hit play, we're listening to my intro, and we're like, okay, I want to see the gameplay, I want to see what it looks like now, and they click ahead.
And I would imagine for DSP that this is a constant problem. I think that if he genuinely looked at his analytics, that he would see that this consistently happens. He spends far too much time at the main menu rambling about utter nonsense instead of actually playing the game. You know, to get to the actual gameplay that people came by to supposedly see. I mean, every single DSP gameplay session is so long-winded, and it always circles back 100 times to inevitably accomplish nothing and say nothing.
So what you can see is these spikes in the viewership. It's way up, then down, then up, then down, because people clicked at various parts of the video to try to find the frame rate being 60 frames, and it kind of goes all over the place, all right? So on average, most people only watch the video for a few minutes. It says right on it. Like, they watch the first 30 seconds. It says 31 seconds were watched by almost everyone. And then basically people clicked ahead to try to find the moments where there was 60 frames being shown.
And for all of my eagle-eared listeners, you absolutely heard that correct. Only about 31% of DSP's footage was actually watched on average. 31 seconds out of an hour-long video. That is absolutely abysmal. For anybody that doesn't do any sort of content creation and doesn't look at these kind of analytics all of the time, that is just embarrassing. And the main reason as to why I don't know why he wanted to talk about this so bad. I want to take this time to say that I absolutely appreciate everybody's watch time evenly. I don't care how long you stick around. The fact that you even spend any time here is fantastic, and I appreciate you. But 31 seconds out of an entire hour-long video is it's just wow, man. And it really goes to show you that those people found nothing worth of value in the content and immediately went somewhere else, that they couldn't last longer than 31 seconds. And you remember when I told you to keep in mind that his video was only in the algorithm for about 5 hours? This is exactly why. Say what you want about the YouTube algorithm, but it can be fairly fickle and it can make those decisions very quickly. The fact that DSP's video was only getting on average 31 seconds of view time, I'm sure immediately raised 100,000 red flags for the YouTube algorithm. Because the last thing that Google or YouTube want is to be recommending videos that people very clearly don't want to watch. And I don't think that I need to tell you, but recommending an hour-long video where people are only going to watch 31 seconds is a prime example of recommending content that people aren't gonna watch. So not only was his actual watch time abysmal, but it was so bad that YouTube even had to take actions as far as the algorithm was concerned and practically remove him. You had one chance, Phil, and you took that opportunity to make one of the worst part 1s to a playthrough that I think I've ever seen. You played yourself.
I'm trying to see here. Yeah, it doesn't really show any other data after that. And I wish there was more kind of data that you could analyze, but not really. What's sad though is some of the data just doesn't work yet. Like I was curious, gee, what kind of viewers? Where did what's their statistics? None of that's correct yet. Like I'm looking and it says only 133 people watched the video. No, more than 133 people watched the video. It's just incorrect data. It's not loaded yet. Some of this data takes like several days to populate. So I can't see like demographics of the audience or anything yet. All right. Now, do you want to know the most ironic part about all of this? You ready? This will be the last piece. We'll talk about this and then we'll move on. The most ironic part about all of it is because there's a section that says revenue. Oh, wow. So, Phil, you actually put out... hold on. You actually put out a video that got good views, so you made good money on it, right? You want to know how much money I made on the video? You ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, Fallout 4 Part 1. So far, guys made me 3 cents.
And if you ask me, that's 3 more cents than DSP actually deserved for that gameplay. I cannot stress to you how abysmal it was, just absolutely egregious. When I'm president, gameplay that bad is actually going to be a crime, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I'm the president, stupid.
3 pennies. That's what I've earned on the video so far. You want to know why? Because YouTube is a piece of dog shit. The system is automated trash. After the video was live for only maybe an hour, maybe not even that, okay? The content ID algorithm ran. And guess what it did? You're going to love this one. It claims that I performed a cover song of the Fallout 4 title theme in the video. And because I was doing it as a cover performance, I don't own the rights to the video. And therefore, they gave the advertisement rights to the video to the owners of the copyright of the song.
That's actually really funny to me because it just goes to show DSP that he shouldn't spend 5 minutes at a time yapping over a main menu track. But don't think for a single second that DSP is actually going to take this time to learn something. He's going to continue to make the same mistake time after time and then be upset when he gets hit with the same repercussion time after time.
That's literally what it says. It says performing a cover song. That's how bad YouTube's content ID algorithm is. It can't even identify the real song. It thinks it's a cover song of itself, and then content ID claims your video. Because in reality, guess what? In a playthrough, it's absolutely positively legal to have that music in there. It's fair use. It's a transformative work. They don't have the rights to claim a video game playthrough video. But if I was doing a cover song, then they actually would have the rights. Just think about how stupid that is, right?
Oh no, DSP, I'm thinking about how stupid it is. How stupid it is that we're even talking about this like your audience is supposed to give a shit or something. I'm really confused as to why he thinks that they do. Why he thinks that they would care whether or not he's making any sort of ad revenue. Why is this and has this always been such a vital piece to DSP's content, whether or not he's making money? I really don't think that there's a content creator that has a legacy similar to DSP's where they've made the money that they make such a vital part of their content.
So, I've immediately, when I woke up yesterday and I saw that, I disputed it, and I just want to make this clear to everyone out there. Do not, in any circumstance, let YouTube or another company bully you if you are a content creator on YouTube. If you put out a piece of content that you are confident is protected under fair use law, always dispute the claim. Always. Never give them a fucking little minuscule spot to try to steal from you. Because these corporations don't care. They will take anything they possibly can from you. For sure. They just want everything. And they don't give a crap about you. They just want your money. And if you put out a piece of creative work and you feel that it should be yours, you should make money on it, you dispute that erroneous claim. Why? Because it's automated. There's not a human that looks at those. That is a very poorly designed AI algorithm that some silver spoon in the mouth, Ivy League trained kid who works at Google wrote the code for. They don't know shit about life. They don't know what fair use law is. They just wrote a code to claim everything for big corps. That's all they did. So you always dispute that shit. All right?
Sorry, I just had to let him finish his full thought so you could hear all of it in its entirety. I don't think that I have to tell you, of course, how ironic it is that DSP is criticizing these megacorps for trying to squeeze as much money out of people as possible. Similarly, I also don't think that I have to point out to you that DSP doesn't know anything about copyright or life, just as he claims that these YouTube kids don't. But acknowledging both of those things just makes that entire bit that much more grating. Not that it was exactly appreciated anyway, because nobody appreciates DSP getting on his high horse to begin with. I wouldn't imagine that that's the content that people come to DSP Space Gaming for. I would imagine that they come for the gameplay, actually.
And in truth, it may take you a long time, because here's the thing. With YouTube, they claim that if you dispute one of these claims and there's no response, in 2 weeks, you'll get the ad revenue. It's wrong. They lie. Because if it's a normal person, they'll take 2 weeks. If it's a big corporation, they'll take a month. They don't care. They'll give them extra time. And it doesn't even say that in their terms of service, nor does it say it in your dispute, but they do it anyway. They did it when I put out my Final Fantasy 13 videos over on DSP Throwback in January. They were telling me, get this, I stole content from the Square Enix YouTube channel and I was using it in my videos. No, I was just doing the raw game, you stupid fucking idiots. But you misidentified it. So I disputed all of it. It took 30 days for them to finally clear the claims, and now I've received some ad revenue on those videos. Not a lot, but I at least got something.
And listen to him continue to seethe about it how many months later. I'll 100% acknowledge I don't like the YouTube copyright system either. It's not exactly something that I have to deal with all of the time, but it's still not a system that I like fundamentally. But it kind of comes with the territory of being on YouTube. You understand that this is the way that the system works, even though it's technically not supposed to, according to DSP. And if you want to continue to put your videos on YouTube the same way that you have been forever, then you kind of just have to deal with the system as it is. And if you don't want to do that, then you can go literally anywhere else. And the entire thing is only made more obnoxious by the fact that he went through the system and it turned out in his favor, but he's still complaining about it as if they didn't do right by him. If you want to acknowledge that the YouTube copyright system isn't all that great, fine, be my guest, but these weird little rants about it that he does every so often are just the worst.
In this case, we're talking a video with 25,000 views and climbing. By the time this is done, it could get like 28, 30,000 views. That could make me a few bucks. All right, not a lot. The ad revenue on YouTube ain't great, but it could make me something. Okay, I'm disputing that shit. They have no right to claim the video because the intro song of Fallout 4 played on the title screen of the game. It's not a cover song. All right, it's a video game playthrough. It's protected under fair use. Fuck you. You don't get to steal my money. So you always, always, always dispute. Never let them take from you what they do not deserve. They will do it. They will take everything from you if you let them. You must fight the good fight. They're never going to penalize you because these companies are not going to sue you. That company would literally have to come out and say, we're going to have a lawsuit against you in order for it to be granted. They're not going to have a lawsuit against you. So just dispute it and you will win the dispute within 30 days. Okay? So, yes, that is what I did. So right now, I made 3 cents, but hopefully, you know, let's be honest, the Fallout hype ain't going away. A lot of people are probably going to watch the video in the next week or two. I'll probably get another 1,000 to 2 views on the video. And hopefully, it'll actually make me a few bucks. It won't make me a lot. Like, I honestly, probably maybe like 30, 40 bucks in ad revenue, if that.
And after hearing him initially claim that he would only be making about $30 to $40 after 25,000 views, I thought he was lowballing it and trying to undersell how much money he actually makes off of the ads. But after thinking about it for a little while longer, I realized that he would actually have to have people watching the content in order to get paid for those ads. And as we've already discussed with his 31-second average viewer retention rate, that isn't exactly what's happening. So maybe $30 to $40 really is an accurate number. And to me, that's just kind of wild.
But that's something. It's more than I make on my videos now, and I deserve it. You know, I put out a quality video at a time when people were looking for Fallout content. Hey, YouTube put it in the algorithm for erroneous reasons because it's not the next gen update, but YouTube is stupid as shit. Oh well.
And this is just him outright acknowledging that he's trying to capitalize on the fact that the YouTube algorithm basically mistakenly put his video up. And I absolutely love that he's trying to claim that he was putting out quality content and he deserves the money. When, again, if you look at his goddamn statistics, 31-second average viewer retention is embarrassing, dude. And it speaks volumes to the actual quality of your content. I cannot stress enough just how bad 31 seconds is, you guys.
And the thing is, this happens all the time. People get this kind of weird popularity. you know, and it's all about, let me put it this way. It's all about then finding a way to like replicate, capitalize, etc. So here's the deal. You might say, well, Phil, this is great for you, right? So what are you going to do next? How can you keep, keeping your content in the algorithm? I can't, because let's be honest. Why did this video hit the algorithm? Because I uploaded a video at the right place at the right time while people were searching for content of that game, and it just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. You were taking part in a trend, something that you tell us all the time that you're not interested in doing. So it's kind of ironic that the one time that you actually do hop on a trend, it winds up doing something for you. Imagine striking while the iron is actually hot for once instead of when it's ice cold. That's pretty much the situation that DSP is currently finding himself in.
That's why. But how can I do that in the future? For example, when the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC comes out in June, I'm going to play the whole thing. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. How can I possibly get this algorithm to hit me again? I can't. Why not? Because people will have it early. What about a new release that comes out? Well, can I hit the algorithm with that? No, because people will have it early. This is why my channel doesn't hit the algorithm anymore. Because I used to be the guy who would go to the game store, get the game at launch, rush home, and immediately play it. And I'd be one of the first people on YouTube to have those videos on YouTube so you could watch the playthrough and judge for yourself if you want the game. They changed the system.
This isn't the first time that he's acknowledged this, and it definitely won't be the last, but this is him outright explaining that the only reason that he had any sort of relevancy back in the day is because he was capitalizing on day one views. He found himself in an advantageous position where he was able to go to all of these midnight releases, rush home and play the game as much as possible and be the first person to upload them. But he loves sitting here and acting as though these other people aren't doing pretty much exactly that. But now doing that actually requires some sort of professionalism. It requires some sort of networking. It requires maintaining an image of at least a little bit of positivity, which all of that actually requires any sort of effort, which we all know DSP is pretty much allergic to.
It's not about people working hard anymore. It's not about people being genuine anymore. It's about people receiving compensation for early press. So all these people who get the games early, the selected YouTubers who get games early for free, and then they get to exclusively stream or play the game or do their early impressions videos. You know, those people who are basically rich anyway, well, they're the ones who now get the algorithm. No one else can get it because that's how they set the system up now. It's a broken system. There is no equal chance for people to sit there and play the game at the same time. You will always have an upper class, an elite group of very specially treated YouTubers who will always get the games first, who get to put out content before anybody else, and who get paid a lot of money for it.
Well, DSP, if you're this jealous, if you're this envious of these other people, then maybe you should have tried to ingratiate yourself into this system at some point. Instead of outright lambasting these companies and telling them that they're bullshit and that you never want to work with them because you're not a paid shill, maybe you should have contacted some of them and actually read through what the terms and conditions were when it came to early style content on these video games. Maybe you could have even have represented yourself in a way that didn't make you immediately reprehensible to the majority of the internet. Maybe then some of these companies could have approached you and told you that you were allowed to play their games early and that you could even say whatever you wanted like they do so frequently to all of these other content creators. But of course, all of that's in the past now, and there's no reason to dwell on the past. You've made your bed and now you get to lie in it.
Whether it's a paid promotion, whether it's they just get ad revenue from insane amounts of views they get because they're the only ones allowed to release the content first, they get special treatment. No one else gets it. Okay? It's a system that I've talked about for many years. People kind of push back on me and claim that I'm wrong. No, this is how the system works. I used to hit the YouTube algorithm all the time. Why don't I anymore? Because I can't play the games at the same time as everybody else. I'm just like you. I have to wait for the game to release, and then I play it alongside you. So I'll never hit the YouTube algorithm, because by the time I play the game and put my videos out, there's already 100 people who played it before me.
This is, of course, completely ignoring the fact that there's so many content creators that don't play these games early that do have an audience. They have people that show up and really enjoy the content despite them not being the first ones, because they actually have a personality that people want to see. They make the video game fun and entertaining in a way that no other content creator has so far, because they are just a unique individual. And I don't mean unique in the way that I typically describe DSP as unique, but the circumstances that DSP finds himself in are exactly exactly what happens when you allow the game to do all of the heavy lifting, when you don't actually work on being entertaining or having a personality. That's why he's constantly complaining whenever there's not big AAA releases that everybody supposedly wants to see. It's because without these high-profile games that are just going to naturally draw people in, he has no draw. But of course, he takes no issue with telling you who you should and shouldn't be watching when it comes to content creation, because you should only be watching him. That's the only way his narratives make sense. It really is within his best interest to treat this more cult-like and try and isolate you from other content creators, because only then is it almost guaranteed that your expectations for a content creator will actually drop as low as DSP is willing to perform.
In this case, with the Fallout update, I played the game the night before. YouTube misidentified my gameplay as being the next gen update when it's not, so it's like releasing videos on release day. And people were like, oh, only this person has it, and then they went and checked it out, and it's not the case, but hey, that's what happened. So I'm not allowed to basically play games that get attention on YouTube anymore because YouTube changed the system, and the people who make the games changed the system. And this is what I keep telling you guys. Do not, and I'll repeat this, I'm sorry, do not support and believe that crap content. Anyone who gets a game early, oh, here's my early impressions. Fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're some elitist fuck who gets everything. You get paid tons of money. You're a shill. You're not a content creator who's in it for the love of it. You do it to make a paycheck. To get everything early and say everything's good. Go fuck yourself. Don't watch their shit because they're not legitimate. They're just there to make a fucking paycheck. But people don't seem to understand the difference anymore because those are the people who are the ones at the forefront of the community who get all the attention, right? They should not get the attention at all. But they do, you know? But that's who I used to be. I used to be the hard worker who'd be there busting my ass to get the first videos out and give you an honest take on every game I play. That doesn't exist anymore. Now you get the paid advertisements.
And I think that it's completely disgusting the way that he describes hardworking as going to a midnight release, coming home and playing video games and just spam uploading actual shit content onto the internet. Nothing about that is hardworking. Legitimately, the hardest part of that entire process is going to those midnight releases, but that's supposed to be a fun and exciting social experience. The type of experience that I went to several times when I was just a mere kid, and my mom actually went to many, many more.
All those people who get the games early are under a review embargo. They're not allowed to be honest about the gameplay. They literally can basically just kiss its butt. So you are getting a paid advertisement from anyone who has early impressions, first impressions, all that shit. Those exclusive streams and videos are all paid advertisements. But I can't make you be smart about it. You got to do it for yourself. All right? The industry and content creation has changed in the last decade in a very bad way. We got to be smart about this shit. All right? There's a reason why DSP Gaming, that used to be one of the most prominent YouTube channels on YouTube, was pushed down, while all the ball suckers and the dick lickers and the ass kissers got pushed up. Okay? Okay. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So now, let us talk about how I'm changing my schedule for the week.
No, I don't think we will be doing that, DSP. Let's move on to something much more exciting, like the comments from my last video. So of course, shout out to the 60 Skulls. Greg of the Lake says, how would you feel if you were told that you were doing something wrong for 10 years? Response, how do you feel being told you were doing something wrong and it took you 10 years before you attempted to address it? And while that might sound like an absurd time frame for someone to actually address a problem, that's kind of on brand for DSP. He's always late to just about everything, and it takes him 100 years to actually figure it out enough to adapt it into what he does. I mean, how many years in a row were people doing direct capture while he was still pointing his goddamn camcorder at the TV? Dusty Dune says DSP always has a laundry list of excuses for why he can't do the things he promises, which is ironic considering he doesn't know how to do laundry. And not only is that 100% true, but exactly what I was going to say before I actually finished reading the comment. At this point, whenever somebody says that DSP has a laundry list of anything, I just think how ironic it is that he doesn't actually know how to do the laundry anyway. So big ups for stealing my thoughts before I even had them. And Ashki Hyena says, over before it began, who could have seen that coming? Oh yeah, everyone. And I think that gives a very vague overview of the entire situation, so I thank you for that. And speaking of being over, this very video. But not before I give a shout out to everybody who watched the video, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortex.